All right, guys. So today I wanted to go over my Daniel Defense 14.5-inch build that I've never showcased on this channel, right? And so I figured I'd go ahead and do a video on it. Now that I have a little more time behind it, a little more round counts, I only have about 600 rounds through this, so it's not a whole lot, but wasn't really in the market for a Daniel Defense upper. If I'm being completely transparent, I'm not a big fan of their politics and what they say about their views on gun control, and some things that they've said about people in the gun community are a little bit questionable as well. With that being said, I'm not going to take away anything from them about being able to put a quality upper receiver and making a quality firearm together. They can definitely do that. They've been around, for a few decades now. They have military contracts. I do quite think that they're riding the coattails of military contracts, and they're known to be an expensive upper receiver. Like, if you walk into a gun store, the premium brand that you'll probably see on the wall is going to be Daniel Defense. You might see LWRC or something like that on the wall, but typically, people kind of consider Daniel Defense in the mid to higher tier echelon when it comes to firearms or AR-15s. So I was kind of wanting to compare and contrast a lot of sub $1,000 upper receivers and kind of seeing what the differences are, how they're put together, and what I would consider could be the best sub $1,000 upper receiver group. Now, I've done a video on what my personal opinion is on the best what sub $1,000 upper receiver group is. I did that video some months ago. It was about a Geisley Super Duty. I actually still stand by that. I still believe for what you're getting, a Geisley Super Duty upper receiver, when they're on sale on Black Friday or Memorial Day, those are the best sub $1,000 upper receivers that you can buy for the money. As you know, of 2022, it is now 2023. It is still a fantastic deal. But to me, Daniel Defense was kind of the original when it came to like mil-spec upper receivers, as far as, those premium brands go. I mean, obviously Colt, CAC, LMT, they've been around longer. I'm not going to argue that, but Daniel Defense definitely came before Geisley. So this one is a little different. So I had to order this one from opticsplanet, and this is an opticsplanet exclusive. Not sponsored or anything by opticsplanet. I just buy some kit from opticsplanet. Never had an issue with them. So I continue to order from them. Seems to be a good company to me. So but this one is an opticsplanet exclusive, and I think it's an exclusive because of the actual barrel length and just how the color doesn't match the upper receiver. Kind of looks SOP mod-ish or URGI-ish, I guess, which some people think is cool. I really could care less about the colors. So this is the box that it came in. I'll showcase the box a little bit. So it came in an actual Daniel Defense box, and you can see it's marked DDM4. It's warranted by Daniel Defense. It put together by Daniel Defense. It's basically a DDM4 V7. Now, doing some research and looking at Daniel Defense's website, I couldn't find a DDM4 V7 in a 14.5 inch, and this is exactly what this is. So this is a DDM4 V7 in a 14.5 inch. Obviously, the muzzle device is pin and welded. It still has a 4150 chromoly vanadium cold hammer forged chrome line barrel, pin gas block, pin muzzle device. It's got a 13.5 inch MFR rail and Cerakoted and mil-spec brown. What else can I say? Daniel Defense branded bolt carrier group. It's nitride coated, I believe. It's got a Daniel Defense charging handle. I think they call it like the grip and rip. Seems to be okay. And a Daniel Defense mil-spec forged 7075 T6 aluminum upper receiver. You can see it's branded Daniel Defense somewhere over here, right? So this is basically a Daniel Defense DDM4V7, like I said. Let me take off the slings just so I can manipulate this and carry this around a little bit better. All right, so I bought this because I was looking for good sub $1,000 uppers. Wasn't really in the market for another mil-spec upper. Like I said, I already own a 16-inch Geisley Super Duty. I already have a 14.5-inch build. It's completely different, but thought I'd give it a shot. At the time that I bought this, it was $870. This complete upper came with charging handle, bolt carrier group, complete. I thought that was a good deal. So that's literally the only reason that I bought it, just to do a compare and contrast. Have I always wanted a Daniel Defense? Kind of. I know that people have good experiences with them. People seem to like them. And I honestly couldn't find a DDM4 V7s for sub $1,000. So I jumped on the opportunity to buy this at $870. I think I got like another $70 off with like a coupon code. So $800 for this upper receiver. That was really tempting. And obviously I took the temptation. So 14.5-inch, like I said, cold hammer forged, chrome line barrel. Gas block is pinned. One thing I have noticed about this pinned gas block is it doesn't, I know you're not going to be able to see it. I wish I could get a closer picture of it. I believe it's on this side, but it doesn't look like they punched the pin in all the way. And while I don't think that's going to affect the pinning of the actual gas block, it's those small details, like Geisley pinned their gas blocks in all the way. So it's like they just chose, like, they just looked at it, saw that it was sticking out a little bit and said that was good enough, right? Fit and finish seems to be very good on this. The grip and rip charging handle, it's okay. It's an AMB charging handle. I'm not the biggest fan of it, right? But I prefer Radian Raptors. I prefer Aero Breaches over these, but it works. It's okay. And then the flash suppressor itself, it's basically an elongated A2 flash hider. I believe it's like 2¼ inches, and that's to make it the 16-inch barrel length, so you can throw a stock on it because it is pinned. It is pinned on the bottom and stuff. So the pinning on the bottom looks quite good. Like I said, this doesn't look like it's secondhand quality material by any means, so I'm happy with that. And then I've heard people do like the MFR rails from Daniel Defense. It's got 7-sided M-lock on it. It does have QDs on it, but they only give you one QD attachment point, where this is steel, which I like, right? Geisley started putting like steel inserts into their Mark 16 rails and stuff. That way, when you're inserting and taking out QDs for slings, you're not going to wear out the rail. So I do quite like that. But if you want it in a different position, you either have to buy other of these other steel inserts, or you have to move it to that. So that's something to keep in mind. I've seen installations on the MFR rail. They don't look the easiest, right? So installing this MFR rail looks like a pain in the ass. So kind of glad that they put it together. Now, one thing I have noticed about how the handguard meets up with the upper receiver, and I'm sure it doesn't have anything to do with functionality. I'm sure it's just fine. But there's a gap. There's a gap between the upper receiver and the handguard, and I'm not sure if that affects anything, or they didn't torque anything down to spec. you can see there's let me get something here. I'm gonna get this. So, I can stick a screwdriver through the upper receiver and the handguard right here. So I don't know if that's a quality issue, and I don't know if that's going to affect functionality. I've not had any issues with the rail coming loose or anything like that, right? The rail rotating, I haven't noticed anything, at least. So I don't know. Don't know how I feel about it. My OCD just lets me see that little gap every time I look at this upper. So do I think it's a good upper? Well, it depends what a good upper is. I've mag dumped this just to kind of test reliability. It is absolutely reliable. The recoil impulse, it's a little harsher than like my Geisley Super Duty, but this is a 14.5 inch. I'm not entirely sure what the gas port sizing is on this, but I would expect it being kind of like a military contract barrel that the gas port size is opened up a little bit more, maybe like 0.75, maybe 0.76, something like that, something a little bit larger just to ensure reliability. So when you have a larger gas port size, it's just going to have a little bit harsher recoil impulse than something that's a little more tuned in gas port size. So the accuracy on this barrel, the best groupings that I could get with this barrel is like 2.2 MOA at 100 yards. So it is definitely not a sub MOA firearm, and they don't claim it to be a sub MOA firearm. Am I okay with 2.2 MOA at 100? I am, especially with M193, M855. I'd say that's perfectly serviceable. I can work with that. Is it ideal? It's not. I would like to have at least a sub 2-inch gun for this price point, but I don't think this was designed to be a super accurate system. So I've been okay with it. I've been okay with it. Like I looked on opticsplanet here just like literally right before I started making this video, and then these are $980 now. So the price went up on these. Prices do fluctuate quite a bit on opticsplanet. If you can get this for $870, maybe if you really got your heart set on a Daniel Defense, go ahead and do it. Like I said, I typically like to support companies that have that match my ideals, that I can stand behind, that that are just good companies, right? I know Daniel Defense's customer service. People have had pretty good experiences with them. They at least stand by their products. As far as their politics go, not a huge fan, right? Not a huge fan of Smith & Wesson either, but I do own Smith & Wesson firearms. Not to say I'm not a huge fan of Smith & Wesson firearms. I'm not a huge fan of Smith & Wesson politics. I don't know if that's because that they were in Massachusetts for so long and, they just got brainwashed. Maybe they had to live under the boot of like to tolerate, a regime that basically hates firearms in the, most New England states. I don't know. But when you go look at websites, Smith & Wesson's website at least, it talks about equality and inclusion and all this other woke bullshit that I don't really have a problem if that's how people want to live their life. It's just, that if I had a company, I wouldn't implement those policies, but I would just treat everyone basically equal. It's kind of based on your merit and qualifications and less on your race, sex, gender, and sexual preference and stuff. You know what I mean? So that doesn't really mean anything. A person is a person. They're shitty people no matter who they are or where they came from or what they believe. You know what I mean? So a good person's a good person. If you're cool and you show up to work and you do your job and you're a decent human being, you're good in my book. But anyway, I'm going to get off politics. But the politics and ideologies of the companies that you support, I think, should be at least a consideration, right? So it's not like I was like really looking to buy a Daniel Defense, I guess, is kind of what I'm trying to say. So let me get a little bit more into the build now that I went over the uppers. So in short, is it worth the money? It's not a bad price for this Daniel Defense upper. If you're looking for a Daniel Defense upper, it's good, right? It seems to be reliable. Um, I haven't had any issues with the bolt carrier group. I haven't had any issues with failure to eject, double feed, anything of that sort, and it's run just fine. So if you're okay with settling on a A2 style flash hider, you're not going to run a suppressor on anything. Go ahead and get it. Not to say you couldn't take out a pen muzzle device. You definitely could. It's just not the easiest, right? I couldn't do it. So 14 and a half inch. Why would you want a 14 and a half inch over a 16 inch? Well, it's a little shorter. Right? Duh. It's a little bit shorter. Um, the balance is a little bit better, especially if you're running like a longer muzzle device on a 16 inch, like a Surefire War Comp or a Knox, Sons of Liberty Gunworks Knox. It's a little bit lighter. Like it's a little better balanced. Now you still have the government profile barrel, which not not a fan. I meant that they've worked for decades, but we've come to the point where we've understand that government profile barrels aren't the best profiled barrels, right? Gas port size I think could be a little bit better tuned on it, but the attention to details could be a little bit better. As far as like the pinning of the gas block and stuff, just in the how the upper receiver meets on the handguard. But I don't think that affects functionality, right? Those are just little nitpicky things that Geisley, right? Geisley seems to have down pat. I haven't had any QC issues or just like those attention to details. I don't know if Geisley, my Geisley upper doesn't have stuff like that, right? I don't know if yours does, but mine doesn't. This is example of one, right? So maybe the next one wouldn't have that, and it probably would be okay too. All right, so wasn't in the market for a 14 and a half inch because I just did it because the price was right? And I mean, it's a Daniel Defense, right? If I found a BCM for the right price, I buy a BCM. If I found an LMT, a CAC, hell, if I found a Triarch in store for the right price, I probably buy a Triarch. And I absolutely think Triarch's like one of the worst companies ever. I was just having a conversation with a guy about Triarch, and that. Just don't buy anything from Triarch. They don't fulfill orders. They steal your money. The CEO drove another company into the ground before he bought Triarch. It's just not a good company to support. And I know I harp on other YouTubers and gun tubers and stuff, but that's a prime example. I saw a ton. I mean a ton of gun tubers pushing Triarch stuff, right? And I'm glad that they got theirs. They got theirs for free. But people that spent their hard-earned money on Triarch stuff, some of them never received their product. And then when they canceled their orders, Triarch kept 20% of their money. I mean, what kind of business is that? You make people wait like 2 years for a firearm that you never built, and then when they finally give up, you're going to keep their money. Man, that's bad for business practice to me. So, that's that's one of the reasons why I stopped trusting gun tubers, because I was starting to see stuff like that, hearing stories about people having bad experiences, and not to say like they're pushing bad products all the time, but they're getting their shit for free. They're getting their shit shipped straight to them, and they have their talking points and stuff. It's basically a commercial. And then you add on all the stuff that they're sponsored by on top of it. It always seems like an ad read. So they're pushing like their their sponsors in the beginning, and then they're pushing the actual product itself. It's just a big ad. I don't need any more help spending my money. I've got plenty of things on my list that I want to buy. And it's not thanks to YouTubers. It's thanks to my own personal like time that I've invested into finding out more information about it, and going to the manufacturer's website, emailing customer service, asking them questions if I had questions, and then looking online at what other people, real world people that have put their own hard-earned money into that product and what their experiences are about it. So, but anyway, I've gone on long enough about my personal thoughts on the gun industry and stuff like that. So, speaking of, just being a complete just simp for like cool gun products, I definitely bought my fair share of cool gun products for this. I'll start at the end. Cloud Defensive Rain 2.0. This is the 2.0 head. I've got a 3.0 head as well. I like the profile of the 2.0 head just a little bit better. 18650 battery. It's a proprietary battery from Cloud Defensive, so you can't just run a power keep, or the power keeps are the name brand batteries that Mod Light uses too. Arisaka uses those, or recommends them at least. I wish they would have used a different battery, but Cloud says they use this particular battery, or their branded batteries, because of how much candela and power that these flashlights use, right? So whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I do know the candela is quite good on it, and the runtime is going to be better than a Mod Light. So that's kind of what the difference would be between a Cloud and a Mod Light. Cloud lights also have like a shinier look to them than Mod Light, if that's a concern for you, right? Arisaka probably has the most matte finish, so it probably has the less reflective surfaces. It also comes with a proprietary pick section for the mount. It comes with the mount at least, but what I've noticed is I can't put other Scout mounts light bodies onto the Cloud Defensive mount. So it's proprietary to Cloud Defensive. Tail cap's proprietary to Cloud Defensive, and the tape switch is also proprietary to Cloud Defensive. Now they include all that in their package, which is kind of nice. So for $400, you get everything that you need out of the box. I would still upgrade the mount. So the mount I'm utilizing is a Arisaka inline mount, just because I got 7-sided inlock, and it just does give me a ton of options on this. So Cloud Defensive Rain 2.0, not my favorite light, but it's good. Fully potted electronics. Comes with the pressure pad. Pressure pad isn't bad, but it's not great. You got your momentary. See if I can get a little bit of the spotlight on there. Momentary on and off, right? Constant on, constant off. The only thing I don't like about the pressure pad is that, you have to be very deliberate in the momentary, which I prefer. It's almost a little too hard. Like, I wish they made it just a little bit easier. And then with the constant on, it is just super, like, oh, can I show this? It is super just, you barely tap it. It's just very sensitive, right? I know I'm not the only one that's complaining about how sensitive that pressure pad is with their constant on feature. So just something to keep in mind. I do like their wire management or cable management system that they have integrated into their pressure pad system. Seems to be pretty good. I do kind of wish I could figure out a way to run a Cloud Defensive Rain without using the pressure pad. Like, I wish you could take it off and just use the tail cap if I wanted to. The tail cap just, it feels great. Like, I love the response and the feel of the actual tail cap button. So I'll give credit where credit's due. Good tail cap, Cloud Defensive. So I have the Rain 3.0, but it's a lot larger head. Like, it's very noticeable. I wish I would have brought it and stuff. I actually brought my other 14.5 inch just to kind of compare the weight and the differences on that. So getting back into the actual build, I'm waiting on the ADM to release their Delta C red dot top mounts. I'm going to try those. They're supposed to be released here at the end of February or beginning of March, I believe. So waiting on that, and I might run like an Aimpoint H1 or T2 or something. I might run some cool guy gear on here and just be the trophy winner for how much money I can throw on a carbine maybe. So for now, I'm running Magpul and Bus Pros. Had a few sets laying around. I like Magpul and Bus Pros. They're low profile. I actually think it kind of looks kind of sick with the pressure pad and the Magpul and Bus Pro. Like, I don't know. I think it looks cool, right? So I slapped it on there just to have a backup sighting system, because if I didn't have the backup sights, I wouldn't have a backup sighting system. So I'm not the most accurate with iron sights anymore. So uh, it's nice that they're there, but I'll probably end up changing my backup sighting system at some point. I'm using a BCM vertical foregrip. I like it in the opposite direction that I normally see people running it on. It just allows me to get a little more pressure back into my shoulder if I need it. So these are good. These are good if you can run vertical foregrips. I like that they're either angled. So when it's angled forward like that too, it also barricades a little bit easier. And I don't know. I like barricading. It just gives me a more steady shooting position. The more points of contact that I can have on something stable, the usually more accurate that I am for this. So um, I decided I popped on these slate grips. I've talked about slate grips before. They're good for the money. I might try out the polymer version of rail scales, just try out just a different texture or something. These are very low profile, so I do quite like that. Um, the sling, I'll touch on the sling real quick that I'm running on this particular build. This is a padded Grove Point. Grove Point? Grove Tech? Let me see. Grove Tech. It's a Grove Tech sling. They're made in the USA. They're inexpensive slings, but they're not budget slings. Like, these are good slings for the money. I'm actually really impressed with Grove Tech slings. So take that for what you will. I don't see a whole lot of people talking about Grove Tech slings. I think they're good. I don't know why more people don't run them, especially if you're looking to save a little bit of money. The padded sling's good. It's got good QDs on it. It seems like nice steel QDs that it came with, and the adjustment is nice and easy and stuff. No metal on the adjustment lever. It's all plastic, so I like that because it's not going to rattle on your gear and kit like I've mentioned in previous videos. And some people might not like this, but it has a quick detach too. So I've never actually had it come loose or anything, but I picked up the sling. I want to say it was like 35 bucks for the complete sling. Can't really beat that. I like Grove Tech. I'll probably buy more Grove Tech slings down the road just because I've got a lot of carbines, and buying a $90 Blue Force Gear sling just I'm not trying to do all that. I spend enough money how it is on stuff, and you should spend like, if you're going to spend money, a good sling is a good idea. But I have 14, 15 different slings at 90 bucks a piece. That's expensive. Plus, I just like trying out different kit, right? I like seeing what the differences are between different manufacturers. Are Blue Force Gear slings better? Absolutely. They're probably some of the best that I've used. They're some of my favorites. Is that this is, you could buy almost 3 of these Grove Tech slings for the price of one Blue Force Vickers, right? Or Blue Alpha Gear, whatever you want to call it. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, went over the sling, pretty much the upper for the most part. Bolt carrier group, I'm going to touch a little bit more on this bolt carrier group just because I want to. So the bolt carrier group, it's not technically mil spec or anything. It's got decent staking on it. if this is phosphate, this is probably like the shiniest phosphate I've ever seen on a bolt carrier group. So, like I said, it is marked Daniel Defense. Um, from what I can tell, I only think this is magnetic particle inspected. I don't think this is high pressure tested. The barrel itself is high pressure tested. Um, but bolt carrier group seems to be a decent bolt carrier group. I'm not entirely sure if that's the same bolt carrier group they put in their DDM4 V7. So, came with a polymer dust cover too. Just something of note. Stand-on defense, not like a Magpul or a Strike Industries or anything, but that's the dust covers they put on DDM4 V7s as well. I slapped the complete upper on a Spikes lower. It's just a mil spec. Was it like a skunk or something? Whatever that design is right there, skunk, badger, something like that. So it's just a mil spec lower receiver. Spikes worked okay for me. Spikes used to be like cool back in the day. I've got like a snowflake spikes, and I don't know, like people were want like the different engravings and stuff on their lowers. Spikes used to be cool. I don't hear like a lot of people talking about spikes anymore. So I don't sell my lower receivers. I don't suggest that you sell your lower receivers either. I mean, like, what are you getting out of a strip lower these days? Like 80, $100 for a pretty basic lower receiver. Not worth it in my opinion. I'd rather keep the lower receiver than the $80. I guess if I'm really hard up, I'd rather sell an optic or something than a lower receiver. So if I need that $80. Anyway, mags. So I talk about mags a lot. I do run Duramags. I like Duramags. Some people don't like Duramags. I mean, they're just GI standard aluminum mags. Some people like to run steel. Duramag also makes steel mags. They're quite good. This one is in a bronze, I believe. So I thought it went with the build pretty good. When I buy magazines for builds, I buy like 3 to 6 at a time usually. So these are inexpensive mags. You can pick them. I think I picked these up for like $9 a piece. So the only thing about metal mags is, you know, if you're running around, moving around a lot, they make noise, right? This makes a little bit less noise than some of my other lowers. So, you know, obviously tolerances are going to be a little bit different in different lowers. So you might have a little more play in others. This doesn't seem to rattle as much in this particular lower with these Duramags. So I like Duramags. I prefer Lancers. I like Magpul too. I've had some issues with Magpul magazines that I've kept loaded with the magazine splitting on them, but that's due to my own negligence. I didn't put the dust cover on them. If you keep Magpul mags loaded for an extended period of time, you're supposed to put on the dust covers and stuff. So Duramags have worked just well for me. So empty mag, I'll show that. I do put Magpul bad levers on some of my builds. For the price, I think they're good, right? You're able to drop the bolt, lock it open, pretty handy. I do make a modification on the bad lever. I cut little strips of like electrical tape, and I'm talking like little slivers and stuff, and I wrap it around the actual bolt catch just to give me a little more solid lockup on this bad lever, right? You can see, I mean, it still plays, but there's no wiggle between the bolt catch and the bad lever, right? That's just the bolt catch between the bolt catch and the lower receiver, right? So it feels really solid to me if you do it that way. If you don't, then I feel like it has a little more play in it than I like, right? So I might do a video on that modification just to show you how to do it. It's really easy, but it takes a lot of detail and a little bit more fine work. So if you have shaky hands or you're not used to cutting little small strips and stuff, I don't know, get your girlfriend or daughter or something to do it. So optic. So I was kind of going for a theme, right? I saw that it was mil-spec brown on the, or they call it mil-spec plus. That's the Cerakote job on the MFR rail. It's brown, right? There aren't a whole lot of brown accessories, right? Most of it's going to be flat dark earth and stuff. Maybe Coyote, and I'll talk about more about Coyote later. Decided to go with the Vortex Razor. This is the Gen 2E VMR and Milradian. I looked out. I found these on a website called Focus Camera, and they had a coupon code. They don't charge sales tax. They don't charge shipping. It seems to be more or less like a camera and like computer company and not like a gun company based out of New Jersey. So I know they're not like into firearms. It was $1,000, and it came with a vortex mount, like a vortex cantilever mount. $1,000 for a Razor Gen 2E. I couldn't turn it down, right? Like they're normally like $1,400 optics, so I bought it. Do I like it? Yeah, I like it. Do I think it's double the price of a Vortex Viper PST Gen 2? I don't. Would I buy it again? I wouldn't. So I think for like the glass is a little bit clearer, right? The reticle is exactly the same. Um, I'm not I don't really like the lockout feature on the illumination. I've never just accidentally knocked my illumination on by accident, so not sure about that. I touched in my previous video that when on max illumination, it lights up that fiber, right? That etched reticle, and there's a lot more bleed off than there is on a Viper. So it does get brighter, but it's distracting to me. So take that for what you will. The turrets seem to be exactly the same. They're a little more crisp in the actual feel and detent, but the profile of the turrets are exactly the same of Vortex Viper. This is an ounce lighter than Vortex Viper. If you get the regular one, I think it's like 2 ounces heavier or 3 ounces heavier than a Vortex Viper. So it's almost a Vortex Viper. Now it came in the cool brown, and I think it most people don't like the color, but I think it matches the build quite good. So that's kind of why I decided to do it. And then if you can see, I'm at these witness marks aren't lined up. This is because I had a different optic on it. I had a Vortex Viper on this ADM Delta C mount, and I witness marked it. So until I decide really what mount and stuff that I'm going to utilize for this, I'm just not going to witness mark it. Plus, I plan on changing out this top ring out for the ADM like T2 mount when it comes out. So hopefully at the end of this month or beginning of next. The mount, I'll touch again a little bit on the mount. It's a American Defense Delta C mount. I've been impressed with the mount. I prefer this mount over the Recon so far, and like my Recon mount, it has the titanium levers, which saves a little bit of weight. I think it saves like 1.5 ounces or 1.6 ounces. And this is a heavier mount than the Recon for sure. So this mount's going to be more expensive. It's harder to machine. I get why it's more expensive. It's got a higher recoil rating for this particular mount. This is a better mount than the Recon if you're just looking for like a more durable mount. So I like the Delta C mounts. I just wish they had I don't know if they have a medium height Delta C mount, but this is a lower 1/3. I got a Strike Industries product on this. So I've got the Cobra billet aluminum trigger guard on this, and it's hard to screw up a trigger guard. So I like these trigger guards. I like the aesthetics of these trigger guards. It actually gives my finger a little place to rest if I really need it to. There's a little bit of functionality with it. The more I use these trigger guards, the more have I bumped the trigger guard while loading once or twice, but for the most part, like I'm coming in from here, I've noticed a difference in it helping me feed magazines. It's funneled that magazine into the mag well just a little bit easier on a few mag reloads. Is it worth the $20? I meant for the look, the aesthetics, and I don't know. People hate on Strike Industries, and I've touched on this before. Do I think Strike Industries makes good products? Typically, no. But this, it's a trigger guard and like dust covers. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It's not going to be a big deal. Um, I also forgot about this. I've got a Strike Industries magazine catch too, or not magazine catch. Oh, it is. It's the entire magazine catch. You can see it right there. It's just I needed at the time I needed a magazine catch, and that's what I had on hand because I had a bunch of Strike Industries lower parts kits. Bought a bunch of them, you know, because they were like $35, and I thought they were cool at the time. So I've got a bunch of extra just spare Strike Industries parts. I got like 6 lower parts kits on hand now. So I could probably change it out, but it's worked, right? If it's not broken, don't fix it. So not going to change it out just because of Strike Industries. Some people kind of cringe at that. It, I'll keep on running it until it fails, right? I haven't had any issues with a magazine catch or magazine release button, so is what it is. The trigger, it's a LaRue MBT2S 2-stage. Not the best 2-stage on the market, but for sub $100 2-stage trigger, it's pretty good. Made from S7 tool steel, so it's got a higher tensile strength than Geisley triggers, than most other mil spec type triggers. It's a good trigger, right? Not the best, but it's inexpensive. It works. It's reliable. Made by a solid company. You know what I mean? So I again going on to supporting good companies that have good values and stuff. LaRue is definitely one of those. So I'll probably end up buying a LaRue upper later down the road just because I like LaRue. And then B5 Systems grip. I just wanted to try out a different grip and a different color. I was hoping that it'd match a little bit better. Radian Talon safety selector, right? Like Radian Talons, this is in brown, obviously, because I wanted to go with the theme. This is I think it's like an LB and E or something, LB Unlimited receiver extension. It's in brown. That's the reason I got it. It's actually a decent receiver extension, so no complaints there. And then a B5 Systems. This isn't the stock mod version, but it's just the B5 Systems stock. It's okay. Not my favorite stock on the market, but there's no play in it. It's low profile. It's got cuties on it. It's got everything that I want stock to do. So I'm happy with it, but this probably wouldn't be my first choice in a stock. So and then I'm running just an H1 buffer in this. I could probably run a heavier buffer. It's not a Geisley. It's just an H1 buffer with a standard power carbine spring in it. So that's this build in a nutshell. This build, as you see it, or with the sling and stuff, it weighs 9 pounds and 5 ounces. So it weighs like 10 pounds, 5 ounces, or 10 pounds, 6 ounces with a fully loaded magazine. So again, fully kitted weapon system, you're looking at like at least 9 pounds. So I did want to touch on my other 14.5 inch here. So this is my other 14.5 inch that I built out, but I built this particular 14.5 inch to be as lightweight as I could. And I mean, I've got a full setup on it. I've got, you know, an Arisaka. That's a 600 series flashlight body and stuff. I've got a red dot on here. I've got, you know, I made this basically trying to be pretty lightweight. I still got a hand stop on here. This carbine, as you see it, exactly, it weighs 6 pounds. So this weighs over almost like 3.5 pounds lighter than this 14.5 inch. So you can see the difference in what you can do if you're particular about your parts and stuff. So if you want to make a lightweight AR, you can do it, right? I made this for fun. It's not the most premium AR on the market or anything, but it's got a pencil profile barrel. It's a match grade Faxon pencil profile barrel, and Battle Arms Development rigid rail, which is really light. I opted for no forward assist. lightweight bolt carrier group. I'm running like, this is like a 2.8 ounce buffer in here with a lower powered buffer spring. MFT battle link stock, whatever it's called. I'm running like aluminum components as much as I can instead of steel. Scalar Works mount and stuff. So 6 pounds exactly, as you see it, with the magazine, with the flashlight, with everything. So 6 pounds is quite impressive. And then, you know, I'll just nice little hyperfire trigger in there too. So but yeah, that's what you can do with the 14.5 inch as compared to basically, you know, using, you know, kitting it out to be duty and stuff. This is definitely more of a duty centric build, as opposed to like, that's more of like a competition style. I just did that for fun. I've never built a lightweight AR before. I wasn't looking to build the lightest AR on the market, but I wanted a decent lightweight AR, and I just thought I'd do it for fun. So just like I just wanted to compare and contrast the Mother 14.5 inch to this one. So it's a cool build. Don't know if I'd exactly do it again because it's expensive, right? You know, I don't know what this ended up costing me, but it wasn't cheap, right? I had the lower laying around, had some of the extra parts laying around, but you know, obviously I had to buy the stock and, you know, the optic mount, the upper, you know what I mean, the flashlight and stuff. So it's a cool build. If you're looking for a sub $1,000 upper, you could probably do better than a Daniel Defense DDM4 V7, but it's not bad by any means. So, but it's been reliable, right? And that's the main thing. Is it reliable? Yes. So take that information for what you will. Would I make the purchase again if I could do it over again? Probably not. And that's only because I already have other uppers and mil spec uppers and, you know, cold hammer forged barrels and stuff. Not to say that I wouldn't want more, but this is definitely not on the top of my list. And like I said, the only reason I bought it is because the price was right. If you can buy it for $800, I think it's a great deal for $800, especially when like BCM complete uppers, when you had a bolt carrier group and ambi charging handle. I don't like their charging handles on BCM and stuff. It just is what it is. You're looking at $1,100 for a complete upper from BCM. You know what I mean? So, yeah, $800, not bad, right? You could definitely do worse for $800. So, but yeah, that's my experience with the 14.5 inch Daniel Defense upper. Let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.